Tonight on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, Susie Banyan would give anything to join that prestigious dance company. And that's exactly what they want. Ha 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 ha! Tilda Swinton and Dakota Johnson star in Suspiria 2018.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. Baby Circus. Anyways, tonight, coming off of last night's very salacious and sexual, cold-blooded beast. You know, I don't even know how you could call it Slaughter Hotel. I mean, I guess there was technically a slaughter going on in the nurses' quarter toward the end, but for the most part, they should have called it Masturbation Hotel. I'm just saying. Anyways, so tonight, when I was talking about doing an Italian theme, I thought, you know what? There was a movie that came out last year that was a remake of one of my favorite horror movies of all time, in my top 3, and I was very skeptical about what it was going to be. I wanted to avoid this movie like the plague. I did not want to watch it. I did not want to own it. However, a coworker of mine suggested that I do watch it, and so this one is for you, Brandy. I know you're probably not going to watch this, or I don't know. You probably aren't going to see this, but if you do, this is for you. It's dedicated to you. I did it because you wanted me to, and that is Suspiria, the remake, 2018. So, what is Suspiria about? Well, it is about a prestigious dance company. Not an academy like the original, but a company. And it really starts off with this woman who's consulting with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, very crazy, having delusions about witches and things happening weird at the dance company, and she's very paranoid and thinks that she's going to end up disappearing, and of course, she does disappear, and of course, that sort of just leaves room and vacancy, as you would, for an American woman named Susan Banyan, who was either Amish or Mennonite, but I think she was Mennonite because I saw like the thing was Mennonite and whatever. Anyways, that's kind of immaterial at this point, and she nails her audition. The very mysterious Madame Blanc watched and was impressed, and she is now thrust into the lead of their latest production. And why? Well, because she just happens to be perfect for some sort of sinister something that is going on within the halls and walls of this institution. So let's get to those scores, shall we? Violence and gore, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, just because the ending is definitely a bloodbath with people's heads exploding, though they do rely a bit of the CG in here, so not as high a score as I would normally give, but definitely some gruesomeness towards the end. But I don't know, like, it didn't seem to impact me as hard as it probably would have given the circumstances of what was going on there. So, but still, pretty bloody, pretty nasty. 3 out of 5. A shock value, I am going to give this a 2 out of 5. This movie does not really have anything that jumps out at you. The shock is really all about what happens, namely 2 parts. In the end, and of course, this really, really shocking moment where they turn a girl into a pretzel. They turn her into a pretzel. Enough said. 2 out of 5 shock value. Plot, I am going to give this a 3 out of 5. Yes, this movie does remind me of The Neon Demon, and it is very similar in its kind of tone and what's going on. It's about rituals and spells and bewitching and things like that. And the narrative itself has a beginning, middle, and an end. However, there seems to be a lot of, superfluousness. The movie is 2.5 hours long. I know I made a joke about a 3-hour-long horror movie when we were talking about Freddy vs. Jason. This is kind of like the opposite of what was the problem with Freddy vs. Jason, where you didn't have enough time to do a lot. Well, this one had too much time to do what it did, and there felt like there was a lot of wasted things. I know for a good portion, I think they really wanted the psychiatrist to be the protagonist, and they really turned Susie's character, into something else, something that really, her character was quite bland and unfilled, and one could say empty, maybe by design, but still felt like she was supposed to be the anchor, but we ended up with this guy, and the whole thing, the whole subplot with his missing wife, just bogged down the movie. Honestly, it bogged down the movie. It created an epilogue that really wasn't very necessary, and it just, I don't know. It killed a lot of the narrative and the flow, dealing with his thing. I think they could have, I guess it might have something to do with something going on. I don't know. But in the end, I think that was superfluous. I think the movie shouldn't have been as long as it was. It's a definite slow burn, and yet it's still interesting enough to keep you engaged, even though it's very long. But when we got to that epilogue, I was like, I don't care about his wife. It honestly has zero bearing on the story, in my opinion, and didn't add anything to what was going on in the movie, and really, really slogged down the movie. And so, yes, it was definitely a problem. I would have given the plot a much higher score because I thought that it was very straightforward, understandable, and yet did a good job of keeping it mysterious, keeping you wondering what's going on. Though, of course, a little bit toward the end, some of the characterization or some of the character actions kind of went yes, I don't know. It doesn't really seem like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe this thing without giving away spoilers. But let me just say that Susan's character is not one of, we feel for her and we want to protect her because we relate to her. In a way, she's just sort of there, and she's almost like welcoming whatever because she wants to be part of this company. And it just kind of kills a lot of the tension in the movie. And toward the end, you're like, you don't even know if she's even the same person anymore at that point. And perhaps she's not, but you're not really caring either. So yeah, it's the sad thing is like that you feel more for the doctor, and yet he's not even that compelling of a character either. So it just you're kind of whatever, and that's kind of a bad thing. So yeah, it probably would have been a 5 out of 5 if not for some of those big flaws, but I'm still strong enough to give it a 3 out of 5. Acting, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Tilda Swinton, wonderful job. Dakota Johnson, yes, like I said, her character is empty, but I think she does a solid job of what she's there to do, as well as the rest of the supporting cast. Pretty darn good. Even Chloe Grace Moretz does a halfway decent job of being a crazed dance student. So, yeah, 4 out of 5. Nudity, I was gonna, give this thing negative points because, my God, that guy's penis is pathetic. And yes, the witches were making fun of it. But I was going, is this gonna be it? Is this it? This is sad and pathetic. But no, let's just say it's a 5 out of 5 because the end is definitely a naked festival of nakedness. And it goes on for quite a while, so 5 out of 5. Enjoyment factor, though, it's a 3 out of 5. Like I said, slow at times. Things that really, I think, could have been cut out of the movie. Weird, strange. When I was talking about Child's Play 2019, I said, this is what a remake or reboot should be, is that it keeps the spirit of the original while doing something fresh and different. And in a way, I think this doesn't really hold the spirit of the original. Yes, we have the same type. We got the same characters, their names, the same sort of thing, witchcraft and dance studio, and yes, there was a professor, though the professor, doctor, but in the original Suspiria, that was very low, just to kind of give some information to the audience, exposition in a way. This movie feels like it could have just been its own thing and not have had anything to do with Suspiria or the Three Mothers. And that stuff actually kind of felt like it was sort of forced in, forced into the whole thing. Like, it could have stood on its own. And because it's supposed to be Suspiria, it seemed to lack that sort of magic that the original had. And we will talk about Suspiria coming up. Trust me. But, so, in the end, a 3 out of 5. My overall impression is it's a 3 out of 5. They could have buttoned it up, could have done something a little bit different with the characters, and we probably would have had a much higher scoring movie in the overall impression score, but it's still a fine movie. It's not horrible, it's not bad, it's good, it is enjoyable and entertaining and interesting, but as a remake of Suspiria, it just feels like it just doesn't have the same soul that the original has, and that's kind of a shame. But overall, I did enjoy the movie. I do like the movie. I am kind of glad that I gave it a chance. So thank you, Brandy, for forcing me to watch that. So anyways, that averages out to a very good 3.3 out of 5. Suspiria, there you have it, 2018 edition. Tell me, do you agree with me? Do you think that it's a fine movie, but not really a good remake or reboot? Not in the same spirit? Or do you disagree with me? You think, no, it does fine and has actually excelled itself higher than the original. And I would say, blasphemy! Heretic, be gone with you! Anyways, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thank you once again for watching another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, and I will see you next time. Remember, Internet, stay scary, and, don't, when people leave your dance troupe, under weird situations and then they just sort of disappear, you might just want to reconsider your membership. But don't tell anyone, just like leave. And the country and everywhere and all that stuff. I'm just saying, just would be me.